again, shouting a battle cry of freedom. We will really from the hillside, all together from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitors, up with the stars. We will reel around the flag, boys, and really once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
Good evening, everybody. We took a week off, and we're back here with Uncut History Live on Redoubt Productions. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, maybe I should talk to you. If I turn the volume down, then I can hear myself, and apparently I can hear you as well. I guess we're communicating through telepathy or something. That's scary. How's everybody doing tonight? And before we even start the show, Wrangler dropped in. Normally he gives us a nice 420, but he gave us the answer to the universe. A very, very, very big donation there, $42. He gave us the answer to the universe. We are indebted. Wrangler has given us the answer to the universe. Wondering what the fuss is with decimal points. I guess I could do. We'll combine the two clips.
$10, a lot of money.
And I could play that 3 more times over, but I don't want to get it on everybody's nerves tonight. You have to sit through about an hour's worth of me rambling about Twister. That's gonna get on your nerves eventually. If you make it through the whole hour, I congratulate you. And before we even begin, maybe consider hitting the like button down below, because that way, in case you don't have the endurance like myself to talk about the greatest movie ever made since sliced bread, you already did the thing and hit the like button, made the TubeView algorithm like this video. Well, with that being said, who else has joined us in? Hey, James Esparza, thank you for tuning in. Recently watched this film and got to say, this would be my ex-wife. His would-be ex-wife is crazy. Yes. And then, of course, the goats of Howard's right arm, always haunting the chat. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't really have much of an idea of what we could talk about this week. We do have a battle edition of Retracing History coming up soon. We talked about Kennesaw Mountain a few weeks ago, a battle earlier in the Atlanta campaign. And well, if it was 160 years ago today, William Tecumseh Sherman and his Union Army group would be besieging the Confederate city of Atlanta at this time. So we'll actually save that for next week. I really haven't had time to sit down and research the titular Battle of Atlanta, which led to the death of General McPherson. So we'll get more into that next week. So I had a week open, and well, some reason we got a sequel to Twister. And apparently this week, the name Twister is going to be very algorithmic friendly. So yeah, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, but hey, I'm jumping on the bandwagon with a heart of gold. Keep that in mind, because you know me, it's Redoubt Productions. I have a chance to talk about Twister. Oh, I'm definitely going to take that by the horns and run with it for, I don't know, 100 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,000,000 kilometers, something like that. And strangely enough, we would not be here on this channel. I would not be probably the diehard history buff that you know me as today, the goofball history buff, is it wasn't for this film, warping my fragile little mind. So I used to actually have the poster for the movie hanging over my shoulder. I've since replaced it with that Fire Zouave recruiting poster. I was going to bring it out for the stream, but I don't know where I put it. I figured I hope it's somewhere under the bed here. If not, it's elsewhere in the house. And it's been a busy day. Well, Twister, what more can I say about it? It's the second highest grossing film to come out in 1996. It was only trumped by Independence Day. So disaster films were leading in the box office in 1996. And many say that the movie Twister, as well as Independence Day, both helped reignite the disaster movie genre. And you would see a number of disaster flicks in the later half of the 1990s and even some into the early 2000s. Aside from Twister, the only other one I adore on this scale would probably be Dante's Peak. And, you know, Dante's Peak really does deserve its own live stream. But we're not here to talk about Dante's Peak. We're here to talk about Twister. Let's talk about Twister. Now, this movie really started not with a script. This is one of the few movies I've heard started with a visual effects pitch. And I actually can pull that up because until today, I did not know that the visual effects pitch survived in its entirety. You may know what I'm talking about. So, in late 1994, just after the hit action film Speed had come out, there were talks about, continuing with another action piece, potentially for Jean de Bont to direct. And well, there was already this question of, they're experimenting with computer generated imagery. Since the late 1980s, in 1989, James Cameron kind of revolutionized CGI with The Abyss, with the water effects he uses in that. It's one CGI sequence, but it kind of sets a stage for what Cameron would do with Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the T-1000, all these CGI liquid effects. And then you start seeing CGI composites for buildings and even for people at a distance. But somebody asked in Hollywood, could we replicate Mother Nature with CGI, particularly a tornado? And keep in mind, this is late 1994, and the CGI capabilities were super limited. They did just barely scratch the surface of getting water right. Now we have to replicate a cloud column touching the ground, moving at hundreds of miles per hour. That's nothing but particles. How could it even be done? So before anybody could even think about making a movie about tornadoes, they had to first see if it would work. And I had it pulled up. I was gonna say I had it pulled up earlier, and now I can't find it. Oh, come on! Don't tell me you already took it down. No. Where are you? I guess this will do. So we're gonna. If I can, come on, mouse. Why are you? Oh, what's going on? There should be plenty of batteries in my mouse. Yeah, computer mouse. They don't eat cheese. They eat batteries, and they eat a lot of batteries. I'd rather just have a real mouse. They would eat less cheese and computer batteries. Computer mouse eat batteries. All right, let's do this thing. All right, here we are. So in January of 1995, ILM, they are going to sit down various studios in Hollywood and shop around the idea that, yes, we can make a movie themed around a tornado. This is actually the VFX text that they would send out. Everything beyond the truck is computer generated, to my knowledge. So this is early 1995, and for early 1995, looks better than most video games I've seen done. And then everybody knows about the last 3 seconds with the wheel of the tractor going into the windshield. It's only 15 seconds long. And to my knowledge, it's a silent test. And everybody went completely crazy over this 15, 20-second clip that is proved to Hollywood executives say, oh, yes, with enough money, we can replicate Mother Nature. We can control Mother Nature. You can't control Mother Nature, but we can make a imitation. And almost instantaneously, both Universal Studios and Warner Brothers both wanted their hands on a project like this. They're going to actually fund, my apologies, they're going to basically, I don't know if they directly, but Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg's production studio, they're going to start working to produce a movie themed around a tornado. Universal Studios and Warner Brothers are both going to bankroll it. So just to show you how much confidence executives, the big studios, had in this project, you have two different companies both bankrolling at the same time. And this would ultimately lead to Warner Brothers distributing the movie here in the United States. And then Universal would get the rights internationally, but they'd also get the rights to a certain something else we'll talk about, I'm sure, before the stream's over. And they eventually get Michael Crichton. Yeah, so it must have been Amblin if Crichton's writing, because Crichton had wrote Jurassic Park, which Spielberg made into a movie in '93. Amblin Entertainment's going to get Michael Crichton and his then partner. They're going to work on this script based around this 15-second visual effects clip. Wow, talking about starting with nothing. To their credit, they do write a script. It was the most expensive script ever produced up to that point. Ultimately, Michael Crichton was paid $2.5 million to write the script for Twister. Imagine what we can do for $2.5 million. I don't know, but there's so much I can't think of it. First order of business, we would save Blair Mountain, make it a privately preserved battlefield, and remember the West Virginia Mine Wars. That'd be probably the first thing we do. Anyways, yes, and then this all leads to Sharknado. Why must you ruin my fun, Wrangler? Don't remind me. So yeah, that they show this clip. Michael Crichton, he's paid a shit ton of money to write a script around it, and that'll eventually become Twister as we know it. Now, the original script for Twister was, what I've been hearing, was far more jankier than what we ended up with. Initial rough drafts called for the movie to be set around a tornado that went on for a day and a half. Just tracking for a day and a half, which is almost impossible. I'm not going to say it is impossible, but almost impossible. So yeah, there were some scientific issues with the script that Michael Crichton had written. Wouldn't be the first nor the last time he had gone against science or Mother Nature. Several other writers would be brought in, and they are actually tweaking the script even during production. Which is normally a recipe for a disaster. If you hear about a movie being made and they're writing the script behind the scenes, that's scary sometimes. But there's room for ad-libbing or tweaking, but you're still finishing the script. That can be a little scary. So yeah, I think Josh Whedon was also brought in as well to be a script doctor on this. So yeah, it's the most expensive script ever made, so they can make this short visual effects proof of concept into a 90-minute feature. This will eventually lead to John DeBont, who is the director of Speed. He is going to be the director touted for this production. Spielberg, there was talks that he was actually going to direct Twister, but then he very quickly got his hands, like normal, into 15 million different projects. And DeBont had just released Speed. Spielberg and Amblin were very impressed by it. And when they told Universal and Warner Brothers, hey, the guy who made Speed, he's going to direct this next action piece, made him all the more happier. And yeah, a little bit about Jean DeBont. I feel like he's one of the big what ifs in Hollywood. He has a very lengthy filmography. I mean, he worked for many years as a cinematographer. If I'm not mistaken, he was either the overall cinematographer or at least director of photography for Hunt for Red October. Let me double check on that. That's at least the name I recognize him more. But anyways, he has over 2 decades of cinematography experience. Yes, cinematography. John DeBont. Yeah, he's on the credit for Hunt for Red October. Oh, love that movie too. So he has a great eye for the camera, especially in action pieces. So that's how he ended up getting the director's chair for Speed. And now he's going to do his called a Hollywood sophomore effort. He'd done a few foreign films before, or to him would have been domestic films, before he traveled abroad over to the United States of America. But this is his second big effort from Hollywood. He's getting the most expensive script in Hollywood. It's being entrusted to him. He's hot off the heels of one of the biggest hits in Hollywood in recent memory. So everything's coming semi together. Now, when it came to casting the movie, they went for a couple different casting choices for the main lead, which was Bill Harding. The character's name was Bill Harding. Weirdly enough, they originally wanted Tom Hanks. I know that Tom Hanks would not have fit in this, especially because this is 1995 Tom Hanks, fresh off the heels of, Apollo 13 had been releasing that summer as Twister's being made. And Hanks himself, I read a script, liked it, but he said it wasn't for me, and advised the Bond to seek out his co-star from Apollo 13, Bill Paxton. And we all know the rest is history from there. And I should shout out that we do have Lieutenant Bob. He is over in Rumble. He's not a king in Rumble. He can only be a lieutenant. He's a king in our hearts, however. Oh, dear. Freaking Wrangler buying Redoubt's love. Oh. Yeah, really, I can buy what? I could probably buy like 5, 6, 7 copies of Twister with that money. I'm almost half tempted just to do that for the gag. Like, hey, look, Wrangler, look how I used your donation. And then Wrangler's just sad. He's like, oh, kids. He is he is proclaiming himself. I am the king of the Rumble chat. Somebody should go over there and fight him for that title. There's nobody fighting for it. So anyways, Bill Paxton gets casted. be here forever telling you how Bill Paxton is one of my favorite actors of all time, and we still dearly miss him. But best choice ever to get him in this movie. Bill Paxton, if you listen to the interviews, he basically threw himself into the research. He really got immersed into research and just background on tornadoes. He particularly took interest in the 1925 tri-state tornado, which cut across 3 different states and was on the ground for several hours. And horrifically, we almost came very close to repeating that a couple years ago with the Mayfield, Kentucky tornado. Although that tornado, initially people thought it was one consistent track. They found that the Mayfield tornado and another equally violent tornado were actually 2 long tracking tornadoes, but they did break apart at some point. So tri-state tornado, still the longest tornado track ever be recorded. And the evil ones at my feet. And you know what happens when the evil ones at my feet. I'm talking about the cats. Bad things happen. Yes. There's nobody on the bed. You can go on the bed. Fred's not on the bed. No, don't go for the ankle. No. I would like my Achilles not to bleed tonight. Thank you very much. So anyways. The other major lead was going to be Bill Harding's, at the start of the movie, ex-wife, which is Joe Harding. The Bond wanted Helen Hunt from the very get-go and actually had to pull several strings because due to her television obligations to get her to be in the role. And apparently Helen Hunt initially wasn't fully certain, wasn't really interested in letting go of her TV roles due to her obligations, but the Bond demanded that she be in the movie. You're perfect for it. So she was in it from day one. And then the rest of the cast was rounded out by a lot of I don't mean B-list actors in a negative way. At the time, B-list actors. These weren't people that you would see as leads in a movie. I mean, even Bill Paxton really wasn't typically a lead in the movie. I mean, he was co-starred in Apollo 13. He co-starred in Tombstone. But usually, if he's in a major role, he was usually part of an ensemble cast. Never is the movie squarely put on his shoulders, like in this case. Oh, a subject has entered the chat. Oh, a subject for Lieutenant Bob, so they can vie over the role of the title of King of the Rumble chat. Don't burn the place down while I'm gone. It's weird saying B-star because let's be honest, these 70s people go on to become some of the most famous actors of the 21st century, such as Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, playing everybody's favorite storm chaser, Dusty. Oh, the banquet's hitting. I'm starting to stutter and can't speak. Oh, and I do have in the chat, by the way, right now. I wasn't able to put all the vehicles in, but I picked 4 of the vehicles. If you want to vote, what is the best hero vehicle in the movie Twister? What's the best car in Twister? I think we all know who's going to win. But, Dusty's GMC bus is pretty awesome. Let's be honest. You got that, the fire, the barn burner, paint job on top. You got the speakers. He's going into battle, blazing freaking deep purple. It's great. It's awesome. I need that. I need that bus someday. So Phil Seymour Hoffman's in it. Got several other cast members to round out the meteorologist crew. Of course, they get Carrie Elways to play the villain of the movie. I don't know why we need a human villain when the villain is Mother Nature. But we got Carrie Elways trying his best at an American accent. It's always interesting. What is it with me? I ended up watching movies with Carrie Elways trying to play the most American leads because, he's the one of the supporting cast members in Glory. Oh, man. Yeah, I've heard apparently Carrie Elway's character Jonas was a lot more scenes filmed of him, but got cut down due to swearing, and they wanted to try to keep to a PG-13 rating. Which, by the way, do I have the movie laying around? I do not. It's somewhere. I just noticed this today. Last night. Funny story. I watched the movie Twister last night. Yeah, in preparation for this, and in preparation for Friday, I got to bring up the rating because it's so stupid. So the rating for Twister is a PG-13. It was initially going to be a much harsher rating of an R due to the much more intense language, but they cut a lot of those scenes down a bit, and there's still some swearing. Guess what? PG-13, parents strongly cautioned, intense depiction of very bad weather. I kid you not. That is the disclaimer for the rating on every physical media release of this movie. I'll read it again. Twister is rated PG-13 due to intense depiction of very bad weather. That's it. Wow. So anyways, let's get to actually filming the movie. So we got our cast together. They're going to start filming around May of 1995. Principal photography is in Oklahoma as well as Iowa. I know that Iowa, yeah, that's a distance between from Oklahoma, but there's a reason to it. Well, that's a good question. James Esparza asks, I wonder if the movie The Perfect Storm has the same rating. Let me look. Yeah, we're gonna get back to talk about Twister's production, but first I wanna look. Let's go to the rating. DVD case, parental rating. And here we are. Again, I have this movie laying around somewhere, but I'm being lazy. No, it just says some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. Oh no, here it is. For languages and scenes of peril. Well, that's pretty vague. But no, Twister, honest to God, has a rating of, very bad weather. I guess they learned their lesson. It did sound a little stupid. So when they did Perfect Storm, they're like, we'll just be more vague. Now they do principal photography in Oklahoma and Iowa. Now, initially, it was hoped that they can get a lot of B-roll because John DeBont and Amblin Entertainment, the production team for the movie, they're actually cooperating with the National Severe, NSSL. Oh, wow. National Severe. Let's spell it out. National Severe Storms Laboratory. Okay, because I didn't want to say NWS, not National Weather Service. That's not who it was. National Severe Storm Laboratory, who they had an outfit in Oklahoma. They were involved in a lot of the pre-production of the movie, and DeBont hoped that by kind of taking a camera crew along with one of NSSL's lab teams, which, by the way, in the summer of 1995, as Twister's being produced, NSSL has an actual program occurring called, I think it was called Vortex, and essentially they were being sent out. They were trying to intercept a tornado, not necessarily on the scale that the movie makes it out to be, but more to kind of put probes and kind of do sensor readings on a much smaller, limited scale, or at the very least get close enough that they can get more intimate readings of a tornado. Unfortunately for Amblin Entertainment, as well as NSSL, the summer of 1995 proved to be one of the most beautiful weather seasons in Oklahoma. So it was hoped that DeBont hoped that his camera crew team with NSSL that they can capture all this great B-roll of tornadoes or at least severe weather, and they can use that as a basis for the visual effect, for the CGI effects, or even they can incorporate it into the movie. It could save costs on CGI. Well, yeah, Mother Nature is just like, nah, I'm not going to make life easy for you. Nah, you want severe weather? Nah. Now you get beautiful weather. Enjoy my 90-degree humidity. Brrr. That being said, when you still have very humid air, the climate can be very unstable. In any moment, a supercell can develop. And there were incidents during production of Twister where they would get a report that 5 miles out there was lightning, which meant they had to tear everything down and wait until the coast was clear so they didn't attract lightning, which definitely caused delays in the production. So NSSL, they're out there with the Vortex team. They're not doing good with their own project, nor are they really doing well in getting good B-roll for DeBont to use for the movie. Then back over where Twister's being produced, initially it was hoped that they were going to create all this dust when they were filming the sequences. So the idea was that, we'll for all these dust particles into the air. Well, they tried that. Yeah, it nearly made the whole crew go blind. So, no, we cannot replicate dust on set. That'll also have to be a CGI effect. You could just hear the coins piling up and DeBont sweating. What they could do was create other forms of debris. And I think most people who've watched the movie are pretty well familiar with how they did this. So, I'm going to state this for the umpteenth time. What they ended up doing was they went to the, airplane graveyard in the Mojave Desert, and they bought two Boeing 707 jet engines, and they put them on two flatbed trucks. And I think the trucks are like 40, including the trailer, is like 47 foot long. And above the jet, above and forward from the jet engine, they had a contraption, I guess you want to say, some type of like hopper up there where crew members would dump all of this rubber debris, which looked like signs, looked like planks, and then they also threw in hail, and then would have yeeted it out in front of the jet engine, and then that was blasted right in front of the cast, who most often were either inside or crawling around one of the hero vehicles in the movie. About the hail. So remember how I mentioned they had a film in Oklahoma and Iowa. This is why Iowa is also used. And don't get me wrong, Iowa does get severe weather similar to what everybody knows as Tornado Alley. They get tornadoes as well. They're just not usually as commonly referred to it as Tornado Alley as we think as Oklahoma is. In any case, Iowa is a little bit closer to Milwaukee than it is Oklahoma. Why do I bring Milwaukee up? Well, you see, hail's ice. And you need ice to be cold. And guess what Oklahoma and most of the Midwest does not have in the summer of 1995? Cold days. They have very hot and humid days. So if you want actual hail to be in the movie, so you don't have to CGI at that as well, you gotta ship ice blocks from Milwaukee, ship it down to Iowa, keep it in freezers at all times, which I gotta keep constantly plugged into the electricity. And God knows how much heat that's producing on the outside. And then when the time is right, you got to get them blocks out. Better start filming immediately because those ice blocks are melting. And what they did was they would kind of drop these ice blocks basically through a modified wood chipper. And then that, of course, would all get thrown over the rest of the debris and then again thrown in front of the jet engine. And that stuff did hurt. There's one very brief clip I remember of Paxton describing, all of us just banging on their hands every time they're filming the what some people call the Hail Hill or Twister Hill sequence, the F-free sequence midway through the movie. Yeah, everybody got busted and bruised that day on set. So yeah, that's how they produced the debris for Twister. I mean, you got to watch some of the behind the scenes footage of the movie. I just watching this convoy. I'm not talking just about the convoy we see of storm chasers in the movie, but then in front of that, you got, the trailer with the jet engine and his hopper dangling above it and dumping all the stuff. And John the Bond's over here on like a truck with a megaphone. In most cases, can't be heard over the jet engine. So he has to communicate with Paxton and Hunt through hand communication gestures. It's a miracle this thing got made. Oh, I forgot to mention about the two that at one point during filming, to get the lighting just right for when they went into post-editing, the Bond had to basically flush the front of the vehicles with big bulbs, very bright bulbs. And well, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt ended up getting a form of sunburn in their eyes. They went blind for a few weeks during filming. So again, that's just going to extend production. So there's and I might as well should talk about the revolving door of director of photographies. So it began with one director of photography who, after like a week or two in production, realized how much of a nightmare this was going to be to make, because you're out there in 9-degree heat at any moment. Thunderstorms can develop and force you to delay production, and your cast and crew getting banged up with artificially made hail. He decided, nope, I'm out. He quit the job, finding it too demanding. The Bont is going to find a replacement director of photography that works a little bit better with him. But then he's going to get injured when they, I'm jumping ahead of our story course. Well, I think everybody's watching knows about Twister. Yeah, the sequence of in Waukeeta, Oklahoma, the whole town gets leveled in the movie, and also in real life, it got leveled, not by a tornado, but by Hollywood. To make it look like it got leveled by a tornado. And they, of course, they also built in a sound stage the interior of Aunt Meg's house, which, was on hydraulics so it can implode on demand. Somebody activated the hydraulics a little bit too early while the director of photography was still standing on one of the boards, and it crashed around him. So he was injured and not able to return to the production. So that's 2 director photographies that we've gone through. This movie's production got a casualty list. Yep. Thankfully, nobody died, but we still got injured. And eventually, DeBont got so fed up, he's like, screw it. I'm already a cinematographer by trade. I'm now the director of photography as well. So, yeah, that fun little episode. Twister's production went a couple weeks over schedule. That was in part due to Helen Hunt's schedule interfering. They actually had to extend her schedule. They had to delay production of her television show so they can finish making Twister. And of course, just all the nightmare of just everything that just was going wrong on set. But eventually, it wraps up production in late summer 1995. And then throughout the winter and early spring, we're in the visual effects department. And of course, this is the fun part. This is the fun part, sweetheart. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to quote Dusty. So ILM had to make, to my knowledge, what they had to make. They had to fight 5 tornadoes from scratch. Like, they have all the footage, but there's no tornado. And also, they're all on bright sunny days. So in addition to replicating the tornadoes, now they got to also worry about compositing the skies and making sure the sky blends in with the tornado they've created and make sure all of that looks natural with the real world footage. No pressure. There's many documentaries, both on the special features for the movie, as well as available on YouTube. I encourage you seeking them out after watching the stream. They'll go into deep detail about all the inner workings on the CGI of the movie. In short, they revolutionize how computer-generated imagery operates. They developed a whole new particle-based system, and they just basically had to just pile particles upon particles upon particles and then command them to move every millisecond. It was an exhaustive effort. And then once they got that to satisfactory, guess what you had to do next? You had to rotoscope it into the real world footage. None of Twister's sequences were shot on a blue screen, which was pretty common for this time period, especially in the infancy of CGI, where you have something on a blue screen. We'll do the CGI stuff, in post, and then we'll just merge it onto that blue screen, and it's a nice, clean fit. Yeah, that wasn't the case. So that means people at ILM, every second of the movie you watch are meticulously superimposing the real world footage and the CGI Twister, making edits, erasing details in the real world footage or having to morph their tornado to fit in front of a real world backdrop. Just every second, hours and hours and hours. Oh, I don't know if I had the patience to do that. I've heard people today, criticize the effects on Twister, say, they look fake. Look, 2-year-old me thought they were the real deal and just thought they were freaking awesome. And 20-something-year-old me also still thinks they look really awesome. It's obvious this is not... It should be noted is in 1995 and early 96, ILM had to work off... The only thing they had of documentation of tornadoes are choice photographs and choice videos. And the videos were of raw VHS quality, very grainy. In truth, the CGI tornadoes you see in Twister match pretty darn well with the raw, grainy footage you see of tornadoes in the mid-90s. Now, today, with the wonders of digital cameras and the wonders of YouTube, with an assortment of YouTube channels devoted to storm chasing, we got unprecedented amount of content relating to tornadoes of all of their stages of life in high definition video, and of course makes what they did in 1996 look fake, but it's believable. I feel still once you're in the movie, okay, this is a movie. It's an action movie. The tornadoes freaking roar, for God's sakes. They, come on, guys. I think we know that this isn't the real world that we're watching for the next 90 minutes. They still are works of art, in my opinion. What ILM achieved in just meticulously redefining what CGI could do and then having to spend hours upon hours trying to make it fit into DeBont's footage. Something else I also want to mention, Twister's not the first movie to do this, but DeBont took pride in the fact that almost every shot in the movie is moving and not in the shaky cam way of moving. It's all fluid pans and swipes, but the camera is constantly moving around on a pivot, constantly looking around to your left and to your right. And ILM had to factor that in. So this is not a static tornado that's just going to stay in the corner of the frame. In most cases, they have to keep it moving with the camera shot. Oh God, those poor animators. Oh dear Lord. There's also an irony where there was a smaller CGI studio by the name of Off the Ranch. These guys were veterans of ILM who decided they want to go into business for themselves. They don't want to work for ILM anymore. They'd gone off the ranch, as it were. Due to the intensity of the production of Twister, ILM had a contact out of the off the ranch and asked them to, work alongside them to get this movie done. So that must have been an awkward experience, but it worked. And eventually we got the movie that we know today. And yeah, I don't even remember. What was it? A June release? May 10th, 1996. So about just 1 year after they started filming, Twister would hit studios, would hit theaters in the United States of America. And yes, of course, there's that whole myth that, that was playing at a drive-in theater and, they were showing Twister and a tornado actually hit the drive-in theater in 1996. I don't think that happened. I remember somebody saying, drive-in myth. Yeah. Oh, there's a whole short film apparently about this urban legend that the Canview Drive-In was hit by a tornado during the screening of Twister. Oh, I did not know about this. That's interesting. Okay, so apparently there is a short film about the urban legend that tornado hit a drive-in showing the movie Twister. I'm going to go watch that later on. Hey, you never know what you're going to discover while you're on the interwebs, especially when you're streaming live to the faithful of Redoubt Productions. So yeah, movie releases, as I already mentioned, it's a big hit. So all the big costs that were spent on it did pay off in the end. Second highest grossing film of the year. Universal and NSSL. All right, are we back on? I Not quite, Bob, but the power did go out. And knowing that this is the Well, so our power is provided to us by technically West Penn, but it's actually through First Energy, which acquired West Penn and a bunch of other electricity companies about 10 years ago in the Pittsburgh area. And their headquarters apparently are in Akron, Ohio. Welcome to the wonders of the infrastructure in the United States of America. I see no issues happening from having electricity being distributed to somebody like 200 miles away. I don't see any problems. We also have a solar farm that was just recently put up not far from my house. I don't think we get any of that electricity. I think it just goes to the people in Pittsburgh. Just like how they also set electric solar farms in Adams County, home of Gettysburg National Military Park. All that electricity is not going to Gettysburg or the businesses there. It's going to the city of Philadelphia. Our infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's try to keep the stream going. Maybe I need to drink more beer. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, what I was going to say was Universal and NSSL, they actually took the movie on a road in a sense. In 1998, so about 2 years after the release, they continued to co-sponsor each other. They had a co-sponsored traveling tractor trailer, which was essentially a traveling classroom to teach about severe storms and, of course, particularly tornadoes. And that ran for a few years, at least for the early 2000s. I sadly, it didn't come to my school, but I wish I would have. I would have had a blast. And, of course, Twister is very interesting as it up until this year. It's a one-off movie that started life with a 15-second proof of concept footage, no script, and it went on to become this very expensive production, and then went on to become this very lucrative movie. And of course, Universal was going to reap the benefits of it. They, of course, wanted to make money off it. I don't remember seeing too much. I mean, there was merchandise printed, but like I have a Twister t-shirt, but it's not actually for Universal. But man, in 1998, Twister Rave was all around still. And of course, you know where this is leading to, that in 1998, they are going to open a theme park attraction in Universal Studios for Universal Studios Park. And now it wasn't like a ride or anything. You didn't like go on a roller coaster and went through like a tornado. What it ended up doing was it was actually more of a special effects show, and you would go into a warehouse that was modified with all sorts of mementos, some of the stuff actually props for the movie, other to look like it, and it would sit you down, and then you would get to watch an effects show, mostly practical effects, interestingly enough. And then the tornado, they ended up lost internet. I'm trying to run off my phone. I think we're gonna have to cut this soon, guys. I greatly apologize. Don't forget to buy an electric car. That'll, if the battery, burns on or something happens to it, it's unfixable. Yeah, now I'm hearing fire alarms for our volunteer fire department. So methinks somebody may have gone into a telephone pole. Not good. Not good. Man, this has really just become a curse. I just want to come on here and just talk about Twister and how much I love it. And it's just become a messy stream, guys. I apologize. So, yeah, like and share stuff, guys. Yeah, be sure to like and share and stuff for the disaster that is Redoubt Productions trying to talk about Twister. It's like watching Wrangler stream. Well, the thing about watching Wrangler stream is it's his computer, and all of his stone walls just not allowing any internet reception. Me, I got wooden walls, and I still got crappy internet reception. Let's just be real. I think that's something me and Wrangler have in common. We just share the same internet, it seems like. So yeah, there's Twister Ride It Out. It was a theme park attraction operated through 2015 to be replaced with Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, a Jimmy Fallon attraction. You replace Twister with a Jimmy Fallon attraction. You soulless bastards. But it doesn't matter because people still love the movie. Didn't really kill people's love for the movie. We're still here chatting about it. 27 years later. Yeah, movie's 27 years old, believe it or not. Crazy. And I think I first saw it when I was like 2, 3 years old. It was one of the first things I think my parents ever allowed me to watch on the television. And by let me allow to watch it, I think they just kind of like, hey, he'll be fine. he'll be mesmerized. Oh, he hasn't left the television for 90 minutes. Oh, have we hurt his brain? Well, yes, but actually no. So you did hurt my brain because then I went down a whole rabbit hole as a toddler and then in my preschool days and in kindergarten days, just fascinated with severe storms and the destruction it could cause. Now that would send anybody to become probably a psychopath or sociopath at least. But don't worry, it pivoted into get interested into the stories of the people and how we learned from those lessons. And then I got into history and it was all fine. It was all fine. So yeah, there was that brief moment where Redoubt could have gone down his villain rabbit hole by watching Twister. But no, it rebounded and actually led him onto his hero path. Yay, I went on my hero path from watching Twister at 2 years old. Adored the movie when I was a kid, just would play it on loop. And to this day, I still feel that if you need to test a surround sound system, you put Twister on. This got the best surround sound, the best sound effects you're ever going to have at any movie, even to this day. So always when I have a new sound system going in the house, it is tradition for anybody in our family. We're playing Twister tonight. We got to play it. Got to make sure this works. Got to hear the tornado roar like a lion because, of course, that's what happens in real life. And I often quote this movie half the time during my daily life. And then also we have, initially Van Halen was supposed to provide like the whole soundtrack, but it ended up due to the infighting that was happening in the band at the time that we really only got one. We got 2 songs from them. One with Sammy Hagar on vocals, and then the other is just actually, it's not even credit to the band. It's just credit to Eddie and Alex Van Halen, the outro piece, Respect the Wind. But man, that one song we got, Humans Being, last song Sammy produced with Van Halen, it is awesome. You know how Cheap Trick got the epic, build up to Ain't That a Shame that they did at Live at the Budokan? Well, more people need to play Humans Being with the build up that Mark Mancini, the orchestra composer for Twister, provides to Humans Being. That a whole minute of them driving out of Wakita, Oklahoma. I even get a few early riffs in from Eddie before you finally get into the song as they're, taking a walk through the woods. And yes, that song is often played when we go on our longer distance trips to produce videos, especially if we're having to go on semi suspicious roads. And we're like, where does this road lead? It's dirt and it goes up the mountain. Put on Humans Being. It'll be fine. But beyond that, if it works going to shove, we'll just go through the brush. And, once we go beyond the brush, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah. My boy loved Twister, and he has a degree in history. Oh, very good. Yes. Yeah, I feel Twister unintentionally is like for people. Now, obviously, much like how you have movies like Backdraft that came out earlier in the 90s, everybody became like a firefighter then afterwards. Twister was similar. There was an uptick. The University of Oklahoma did see a big uptick in enrollment in their meteorology classes after Twister came out. There was a lot of, it's no secret that storm chasing is still around today, and people are still fascinated with meteorology in large part due to the movie Twister. And I guess they're trying to replicate that with trying to make a sequel, remakequel, as I like to call it. Because let's be honest, that's what they really want to do. They just want to remake Twister, but they're like, oh no, if we remake it, everybody will be upset. So if we make it a sequel, it'll be fine. But sadly, Bill Paxton's dead, Philip Seymour Hoffman's dead, even Eddie Van Halen's dead. So it's as they call it, a legacy sequel, as in we wanted to use the title and the graphic of the title, and we wanted to use the Dodge Ram. Fair enough. I mean, who doesn't want to make a sequel to the greatest car commercial of all time? I'm sure Dodge was like, oh yes, please, we got better Dodges now. Well, better Dodges. But to be fair, I saw the first trailer for Twisters, and I was not interested at all. I didn't like how they were setting it up. But then I saw the second trailer and they used that Luke Combs song. And that was a pretty good song. And we got to see more of Powell's character in it, And apparently they're doing something a little bit different. It is really the next evolution of storm chasing. So, and a lot has happened in, almost 30 years since Twister came out. Storm chasing and meteorology has greatly evolved of all sorts new of technology. And of course, the internet has changed storm chasing for the better and worse. And of course, storm chasing has to live in the shadow now of the El Reno tornado, where, of course, 4 storm chasers were killed during that tornado. It was the first time that professional storm chasers are recorded having been killed. So there's a lot to tap into. So it's not like there's nothing there to work with if another movie set around a tornado. And it seems like that's going to be Powell's character. That he's like a YouTube vlogger. He's in it for the views. He's in it for the extreme. He's in it for the extreme, man. So, but he's basically I think he'll be pretty interesting. He definitely seems it's different. What he's doing in the movie, at least by the trailers, is different from Twister. And I have a small hope that it works out. A little birdie told me a local drive-in's going to be playing it in a couple days, and I may or may not go see it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's great. I don't think it's going to be. I love Twister too much. Nothing can replace it, and nothing can add on to it. Twister is just Twister. Yes, there are so many scientific inaccuracies in it. Yes, sometimes the dialogue is hokey. Yeah, but who cares? It's Twister. It's 90 minutes of quirky humans trying to survive Mother Nature. I was going to say fight Mother Nature, but they're just trying to survive it, really. That's why sometimes you just got to be like Dusty. You just got to just put on Van Halen at full blast as the world's imploding around you and just jam out while you're driving down a one-lane back road, potentially going to your demise. Can we also mention that Belzer's van got that awesome, mural, the Twister mural? What happened to his van? Apparently was in the queue to go Twister's Ride It Out. Apparently was in the queue for many years. And it's it was gone. The Ride It Out's gone. Where did Belzer's van go? And that beautiful mural. I want that. That was awesome. But yeah, no, I generally say that, as sappy as that is, basically, I probably would not be into history. I would not have the passion for things that I do have a passion for if it was not for toddler me bearing witness to this movie. How many times I watch this movie? I probably watch it once a week. Yeah, I'm that crazy. This is a movie that if I'm doing work on the computer, doing video editing, and I just want to keep my ears occupied, it goes on the background now. Because I know the movie by heart now. I know what sequence we're in. I can just see it in the back of my head while I'm looking at the computer. It's one of them weird things where I know what's happening because I've seen it so many times. Well, before we wrap up tonight, let me go over, check out the poll, because I did start a poll tonight asking what's your favorite vehicle from the movie. Now, it's me going over and trying to look at the poll going to kill my 1 bar of internet. Oh, man. I'm just seeing how grainy I am right now. Oh. All right. Got to wait a few minutes. YouTube can be very slow. Thank you guys, by the way, for staying this far in, especially with this poor quality of the stream. I do appreciate that. It's been a busy week. It's been a chaotic couple of months here at Redoubt Productions. I'm not just about the channel itself. Most of it's about outside stuff. And we're going to end the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7. Why can't I hit the poll? 3, 2, 1. Wow. I'm actually surprised, but I don't disagree with you guys. Over 66% of the chat voted that Joe's 1982 J10 Jeep truck is the best vehicle in the movie. Only 16% voted for the Dodge Ram. This is supposed to be a Dodge Ram commercial. It's failing its mission. To be fair, the J10 only got flipped over by an F1. It didn't get obliterated by an F5. So I guess the J10 can be driven again if you write it back up. And I think it's in a museum somewhere as well today. The actual J10 that's used in the movie. I don't think. I wonder how many Dodge Rams were game ended, as it were, making this movie. It sure as hell isn't as many as Plymouth Furies were destroyed in the making of Christine, at least. Well, hey, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I know this has been a stream of a lot of technical hiccups. I just want to come out, just share my love for the movie Twister. I'm sure it won't be the last time we talk about Twister. And yeah, we have a new edition of Retracing History coming out this Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like usual. It's going to be a shorter one. I know the past 2 weeks I've had very long, lengthy Retracing Histories. We're going to get back to our normal length. So this one's only about 20 minutes long. We'll be talking about the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal again. A very important canal built in the 1830s and 40s, connecting Washington, D.C. to the foot of the Allegheny Mountains. We're going to stop at a certain spot on the canal where you really can see every piece of infrastructure essential in the canal's operation, all in a mile length. So it's going to be pretty fun to see, pretty low key, but I think you're going to enjoy it. And then I know here in the coming weeks, we're going to try to work on Whiskey Rebellion videos. I don't know when those are going to come out. They're going to be retracing histories. That's actually what I was doing today. I was out in the field doing some documentation about the Whiskey Rebellion, and I'm going to do more of that this weekend. I'm going to be teaming up with a Humble Collector to do some of that. So you can check that out in the near future. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I don't have my intro pulled up because, the internet crashed on me. So this is going to be an awkward backing out. But before we leave, if this is the first time you've watched us, welcome. Consider hitting that like button and consider subscribing. We go live most Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More often than not, we're talking about historical events. Like next week, we'll talk about the Battle of Atlanta. But sometimes I just want to sit and riff and show you that, hey, us history buffs, we don't just sit and read and, keep moving our glasses and coughing up and like, well, actually, no, we're a bunch of goofballs. We're all basically like Dusty, we're just out there, just tuning in, listening to Clapton and listening to Deep Purple and Van Halen and, living life in intense situations. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We're just going to be an awkward outro. We'll see you next time.